Right. Right. Hello. Today's session is going to be a bit of a shorter one today, but I doubt no less valuable.
Oh,
Okay. So this one is called Be Still.
okay.
Be still. The lake awaits with mysteries therein, seeking discovery, insights so placed to set you free from suffering. You will know once the ripples cease. I'll read that one again. Be still. Be still. The lake awaits with mysteries therein, seeking discovery, insights so placed to set you free from suffering. You will know once the ripples cease.
It's interesting. I'm just trying to gather my thoughts, Frank, because I've been
Mhm.
on a couple of Zooms this morning
Mm,
to do with different things. But yeah, be still and know that I am God is the verse that's been quite helpful over the last days. The mysteries are things that we don't see, but they appear every day, don't they? Different things.
mm,
If we're seeking discovery, well, we don't always discover what the mystery is, but we have to deal with it.
I love that.
So I'm not sure about insights so placed. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. So that's the idea being that until you still the mind, you don't get to then discover the significance of whatever is taking place because the mind has so many stories
Mm,
or things as to how things should be and why they're not that way and trying to find all the explanations for the logical aspect of things. Whereas, like you rightfully said, some things are mysteries that we may never gain insight to.
mm,
But the important piece being that the stillness is the idea to know that we're still okay regardless of all of that.
yeah, because I think there are mysteries in life that maybe the Lord doesn't want us to know anyway, because maybe they're too disturbing or we wouldn't be able to deal with them. But I
Mm,
think knowing that when we do discover things, it's encouraging or it could be discouraging, um, but it sets you free because you know that there have been things that you need to discover. I know that sounds a bit sort of gobbledygook, but if you know what I mean, because you know
no,
when the ripples cease, um,
yeah,
you know, you've got somewhere.
yeah. I love that. And there's that sense of it shall pass in there as well, isn't it? That,
Mhm.
I think the issue is that trust element that regardless of what, so the suffering I'm pointing to sometimes is not even anything physical, it's the emotional suffering that we can often endure. And when we find that place of stillness, we recognize that who we are, our deepest parts of us, is still okay, but it's the stories of the mind and what the mind predicted would be that isn't, and what how the mind thinks it isn't that it is, that kind of thing that kind of can sometimes emotionally take us on like a roller coaster ride. And it's that the core being to be able to still ourselves, to recognize that we're not still. That's number one, to become aware of what is causing the turbulence, number two. And then number three is to kind of bring ourselves back to knowledge of who we know we are and knowing that at that part of us, we are okay. And then seeing through all of that to then almost put an intention out there that is there's anything you need to know beyond what's here for that to come through. But it's hard to receive those insights. It's hard to receive those revelations when you've got all the mind with all its stories and all the turbulence going on. So that's the call to the place of stillness.
Yes, I guess it's not so much me knowing who I am because sometimes I can be different every day
Mm,
depending on circumstances, but it's knowing who God is in the situation and knowing that He is the author and the finisher of it all. Um, Life's different from day to day, and it can trouble our minds. And sometimes when there's a lot of distraction around us, we can't even see the true light or the truth
Mm,
because there's so many distractions,
mm.
Um, so that
Yeah.
be still is. But then, how do you be still in yourself?
Well, so that is the point. So I'll go back to a point you made just earlier, and you're making the distinction that it's not us, it's God. But in essence, when we look at the truest nature, the most base nature that we have is spirit, just as he is, right? So like you rightfully said, it's still the same call. It's the call to say you're lost in your mind and you're experiencing suffering because of activities in your mind. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
when you come back to your base essence, which is spirit, which is connected to that divine, then there is peace. So it's kind of just dropping out of the mind, and to go back to your question, then that's the reset piece of actually becoming aware is the first thing. Okay, I'm perturbed, I'm distracted, there's all things going here, I'm not still. What I do is I just become to breathe consciously just to bring myself out of the mind, because the mind can't concentrate on two things at the same time. So by being conscious of my own breath, I pull it out of that story, and then I kind of reconnect to, okay, this is what I'm experiencing, but it's not the truth and reality of my deepest being. The truth of my deepest being is peace. I choose to connect to that peace. Okay, from that place of peace, what right now matters? What right now is going to make the best difference? And then leave myself open to that. Because again, the framework we're looking at is called flow. And the whole idea of that flow is opening yourself up as a channel to receive those directions, to receive those inspirations, so that you can then do. So that the action comes from inspired action. So that's.
Mm-hmm. You were speaking about breath. I was just looking at a thing I've got on the wall earlier this morning. It says life is not measured by the breaths we take, but by the moments that take our breath away.
I love that.
But sometimes to be still, some people need to be out walking, they need to
Mm,
look at creation. Some
mm.
people like to just sit and meditate, maybe on something, maybe a verse of scripture or something. People have different ways of just finding peace, haven't they? Mm.
And I love that. I love that you brought that variety to the table, because that's the idea that it's different things for different people and people need to find what works for them, but it's there. But you don't go looking for it until you recognize. And that's why the biggest piece is that noticing that you're not still, noticing that you're disturbed, noticing that there's too much turmoil, too much distraction. That noticing is the first anchor. And then having tried different things and seen which one works best for you, or which one is most practical where you find yourself, then go to that to help you reset and let you find that stillness again.
I mean, I've heard someone saying they've gone on a retreat because they really need to, you know, find peace. But they've thought, what a waste of time all this day has been. I've just been meditating. I've been thinking I think she thought when she went on the retreat, the answer would be there. But it wasn't until she was driving home
Hmm.
she started to see things differently. So it wasn't a waste of time, all those hours, but it was what revealed itself to her when she was out of that situation. She could look at things differently.
Yeah, that's a beautiful story, actually. That's a
It
beautiful
didn't
story.
happen when she thought it would happen.
Uh,
So I guess, yeah.
Yeah, that,
So
that that
nothing's
is that
wasted.
is beautiful. Yeah. Sorry, did you finish what you were saying?
I was just going to say nothing's wasted, but we think it is sometimes because we can't get the answer right there and then. We can't get the flow because the ripples are still rippling. But even when you're at peace, Frank,
Hmm.
you you're still not at peace until the ripples stop flowing because you still think you're tormented. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And that is the difference. That is the difference between what is and what you're experiencing. The infinite potential of the fact that peace is always available does not mean you're experiencing that peace.
Mm-hmm.
And often the thing that gets between you experiencing the peace that is available is the activity of the mind. So going back to the story you just told of someone who went to a retreat. Now, what happens is the mind predicts what peace is going to look like. You get
Mm-hmm.
to the retreat and it's constantly going, is this it? Is this it? So you're still in the stories of the mind and how it should be and why it's not that way. And so you're not really experiencing that moment. You're experiencing your
Mm-hmm.
thinking about the moment. Now, there's something about things like driving, having a shower, ironing, the things that are repetitive actions that you just kind of, it, before you know it, you actually drop out of the mind. And in
Mm-hmm.
that space that's created, when you've dropped out of the mind, the
Mm-hmm.
insight comes,
Mm-hmm.
the revelation comes. And again, the piece I'm going to put in probably talks about a bit of that because you will find that we will have different experiences to the
Mm-hmm.
same set of circumstances, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have anything else on that before I put this piece in?
No, nothing else comes to mind. Mm.
Right. This one is called reframe. This happened. It means this. Then again, it could mean that. I could experience this. I could experience that. Happening is what it is. Experience is another thing. The power of reframe, the gift of choice. Opening up a world of alternate possibilities. I read that again. Reframe. This happened. It means this. Then again, it could mean that. I could experience this. I could experience that. Happening is what it is. Experience is another thing. The power of a reframe, the gift of choice. Opening up a world of alternative possibilities.
I'm not sure about that one, Frank. You'll have to explain it a bit more to me, I think.
Right. So,
When you say this happened,
right.
that could be anything, couldn't it?
Exactly. So anything could happen. So that's pointing to circumstances, events, right? But once it happens, what is our mind looking for?
Depends what happened.
Right. So it's looking for meaning about what happened. What does it mean? This happened. What does that mean? So it could mean this, it could mean that. But depending on which meaning you give it, it's going to influence how you experience it.
Hmm. It depends what frame of mind you're in when it happens.
Exactly. So from you'll be in one frame of mind, the same set of events would have a certain meaning and you'd experience it based on whatever that meaning is. You'd be in a different state, and then the same set of circumstances still are there, but you're experiencing it differently. However, what the mind often doesn't reveal to us is that we will still claim that the event caused us to experience that. But it's the meaning that we attach to the event that caused us to experience that.
Mm.
But we miss that subtle layer. And the gift that we have by knowing and becoming aware of that layer is to see how we're experiencing something and ask ourselves the question, what meaning have I attached to this happening that is causing me to experience it this way? And how else could what other meaning could I see here that could help me experience it differently? And that is the world of possibility that exists once you become aware of that subtle layer between meaning, events, meaning, and experience.
So are you saying that anything that happens, we can turn it around with the meaning that we take from it? We can make it better?
We can explore other meanings rather than being lost in this idea that there's only one meaning to this, and therefore there's only one way to experience it. Because
Oh,
it's
well,
happening anyway, it's just becoming more
yeah,
conscious of it.
that's where you're talking about the power of reframe.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
reframe is to change or to explore other meanings than the one that maybe you're currently fixated on.
But then it still depends on what frame of mind you're in that particular time when it happens.
Yeah, but that's my point. When you become conscious and you begin to explore the meanings consciously, then you will find that your state begins to change when you begin to look at other possibilities.
Okay. Well, we pray the world opens up a lot of opportunities and possibilities from different negative things perhaps that have happened.
Well, and this is the thing, because if you think about the people who might be perpetuating things that you're looking at and reflecting on to say, why does this have to happen? They are stuck in a meaning that they have attached to it, and the only response they can find to it is based on the meaning that they've attached to it.
Mhm.
But you're looking at it and going, well, surely you could look at it this way, and then it doesn't have to be that, it could be this.
But can you turn that around for another person if they're
No, you can't. You can only model something different to them. You can't make someone see it differently. But you can
well,
model it.
there's a saying, isn't there? You can't, what is it? You can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
You can't make it drink. Yeah,
But
but
you could put something in its I was going to say oats that would make it want to drink.
oh yeah, I suppose you could do. I suppose you could do.
You could make them thirsty for something maybe that you've got.
It's possible. That's why I mean you model it. You show the benefits of it. You live and express in front of them whatever it is that you are living, so they know it's possible. So it's like the classic, you might have the same set of circumstances as somebody else. Maybe you're in a support group where you had the same experience, but people notice that you are going through it differently, you're experiencing it differently than they are. Then that could cause them one day to ask you, how are you doing this? We've both lost somebody, or we've both had this happen to us, but I noticed that you're this, and I'm just struggling to even access that. And then you could share with them how you look at it and what meaning you attach to it. And so you're offering them the opportunity of a reframe.
Well, I don't know if this is relevant, so
Hmm.
forgive me if I'm wandering in my
No, but
thoughts.
no, you're here. It's for you. You go.
Reminds me, on Tuesday, I was with elderly ladies at a Tuesday friendship at the church, the Haven Green Baptist Church that I go to,
Mm,
and one of them's 101.
mm-hmm,
And she met up with this gentleman whose child had he was actually there, but she said, "Oh, how's Johnny doing?" And she remembered him as a 10-year-old little boy.
mm,
And she said, I always remember. Now she's 101. She
mm-hmm,
said, I always remember when Johnny came bouncing in, and he said, "Oh, I'm so excited. My mum's having a baby." And she was 83 at this time. And he
mm.
turned to her and he said, "Do you want a baby? Just pray. You'll get a baby too." And she remembered that at 83. Well, now she's 101.
That is 101. Yeah.
So he was wanting it for her. So
Yeah.
I guess we want it for other people, don't we? But not understanding it's not maybe practical.
Or maybe not what she wants in the maybe that's what she wants after all. Oh dear. That's
But
the
he was
point.
thoughtful enough to say he was happy. So he wanted her to be happy.
Exactly. And that's the innocence of youth, right? That's the innocence of youth. Oh boy. So
Yeah.
I, I'll put this one in because I think it's a natural progression from where we've just been exploring the same things. This one is called Then It Hit Me.
Then it
Wow,
hit.
words spoken in due season. Must have opened and read my mail. It was certainly to me it was speaking. Hit the proverbial nail right on the head. Don't think the words could have been better said. Pretty sure it had previously been said again and again. But when the student was ready, the message did appear. I'll read that again. Then it hit me. Wow, words spoken in due season. Must have opened and read my mail. It was certainly to me it was speaking. Hit the proverbial nail right on the head. Don't think the words could have been better said. Pretty sure it had previously been said again and again. But when the student was ready, the message did appear.
So what it speaks to me about is the student being ready,
Mm,
because I can always remember when um, Robert would have been studying for the ministry, and or he was doing his sermons and all of that. And I used to think I'd love time to be able to do that myself, but I was caught up with, things in the family. But I thought, how wonderful to be able to, you know, train for the ministry and do all of that when he was doing that and study God's word. But, in recent weeks, I've had more space to do that.
mm,
So I'm like a student. And I'm just realizing that even this morning when I was reading Isaiah 40,
mm,
the wonderful things that you can learn from that, Isaiah 40 was just so, and things I've never seen before because I'm taking time now to do it. So I guess when you said about, well, I don't know about the punctuations and the things like that because I've only learned recently what a semicolon is. Never listened too much at school. So I thought, oh, this is different. I need to even learn what the commas and the semicolons mean because they can make, actually, a comma can make such a difference actually if you stop at the right place.
mm.
So I am a student. So thank you for bringing that up. Um, Words of wisdom, signs of sympathy. I'm not so sure. I have
Mm.
missed a lot of those, I think.
Yeah.
Kind duty, yeah. What were you thinking when you were writing that yourself?
Well, it all has to do with this idea of profundity, right? So something comes across as being profound at a specific moment in time. And a lot of it has to do with us being ready because we're at the point in time where that thing that was spoken is relevant to where we are. And we have also got the foundations we need to be able to appreciate how it fits within the context of everything else that's happening with us. So those elements allow us to engage and interact with things in a way where it almost sounds like it's the first time we're hearing it, but it's not necessarily the first time we're hearing it. Also, it's the same thing effect you get in like maybe a congregational or a group setting where someone central is sharing something and people react to it in different ways. And to some people say, oh, that was boring. And someone say, that's the most exciting thing I've ever heard in my life. But really, it's not necessarily what the person said, it's the place where you are in your life and whether you're ready for that at that point determines how sometimes it comes across. So putting that back into the context of flow, which is what we're talking about, is the idea when you create, which is going back to what you said earlier, the space. When the space exists, then inspiration happens because you are there present, open to learning that. And therefore, you then see things you hadn't seen before. It was always there, but you hadn't seen it. Because again, our learning is linked to where our attention is focused to, where our awareness is directed to, would impact what we pick up, what we learn.
So, Frank, what do you mean by unseen heroes of every masterpiece?
I think you're looking at the wrong piece. We are
Oh,
reading Then It Hit Me.
oh, sorry. You see what I mean? I'm not a very good student. I jump from place to
That's
place.
all right. That's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
That's
Sorry.
okay. We'll get to that one next.
Please.
Yeah. So that's kind of what that piece is pointing to.
Okay.
But it's lovely what you're sharing because if we're always open, always ready, again, forgive me for stepping over this particular mark here. But again, people often would use age as a reason for why they may or may not learn. But actually it's nothing to do with it. It's more to do with space and having that opportunity and being willing. you know, so that there are no barriers to that. We just need to be open. Right. And since you brought it up, I'll put this one on as the final one. I am conscious we're a bit playing around with time a bit. I hope you're still okay for another few minutes, and we'll just
Yeah,
end
I
on this.
haven't got another appointment until 3 o'clock, so
That's okay.
but I've a
Right.
lot of watching to do.
That's all right. We'll finish off with this one.
Okay.
So this is called Life in Spaces. Can you see them? Scenes of beauty, lines of meaning, words of wisdom, sounds of symphony. So easily missed the spaces, punctuations, and the silent pauses. Unseen heroes of every masterpiece, without which no sense exists. The essence of life hidden in those spaces. I'll read it again. Life in spaces. Can you see them? Scenes of beauty, lines of meaning, words of wisdom, sounds of symphony. So easily missed the spaces, punctuations, and the silent pauses. Unseen heroes of every masterpiece, without which no sense exists. The essence of life hidden in those spaces.
Yeah, well, I said about the punctuations and learning all about that, but the silent pauses,
Hmm.
um, hmm. And what were you saying about unseen heroes of every masterpiece?
Yeah. So when you look at the build up of it, so observe and think to scenes of beauty or wonderful paintings you've seen. We look at the color, we look at the brilliance, we look at the things there. Someone preaches a great sermon or gives an oratory speech, and we're in awe of the words that were shared. And someone plays a wonderful piece of music, and we love the undulation, we love the way the sound is and everything. But what we might not have appreciated is for all those things to move us so, they have spaces and punctuations. They have lighter shades that accentuate the higher shades. They have lighter colors that allow the brighter colors to stand out. So it's calling us into the fullness of every beauty that we experience, that we appreciate both the things that pop and the things that allow them to pop. Do you see what I'm saying? So if I read this piece, can you see them scenes of beauty, lines of words of wisdom, sounds of symphony? Do you see how that comes across? When I
Hmm.
go, can you see them? Scenes of beauty, lines of meaning. That is the difference. So those silences we don't notice, but those silences allowed us to make sense of what's there. So it's really calling us to slow down and really absorb everything, including the things we tend to take for granted.
I suppose it comes back to the story where I told you where the lady spent the whole day on the retreat but didn't see anything, and then when she
Mm,
was from that silence, she learnt from that space that she was in, she learnt that she could see beauty and the trees. And in actual fact, she said that driving home when she saw the beauty, she went home and she did a painting of a tree.
right. And that's the beauty of it. But again, because her mind was so busy when she was at the retreat, she wasn't noticing the impact of what was happening there on her subconscious. But when the space opened up while she was driving, all that came out.
Yeah, because it's interesting when you go on a retreat, you think it's going to be something that's going to be revealed to you, and you're going to, maybe you're troubled by something and you'll have the answer there and then.
Mm,
But it's a bit like God, isn't it? He doesn't give you the answer. Sometimes there's a delay,
mm,
and he makes you wait. And they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. And so she renewed her strength in that retreat and was able to see something maybe that she hadn't seen before. Um,
mm,
Depending what happened on the retreat, of course, I don't know what took place, but I'm sure there was time for them to reflect
yeah.
and to meditate, and yeah. So yeah, I love masterpieces. I mean, somebody said to me once, "Oh, your name Muriel. That's all over the walls sometimes, isn't it?" I'm thinking, what are they talking? They meant a mural.
Yeah,
I'm
well,
not. I'm not.
they can be
I'm not.
forgiven. It does sound very familiar. But ultimately, though, we are our masterpieces, right?
Yeah.
When you study the human body, we are amazing in our constitution. The fact that we live, we breathe, we move, we do
Mm,
things, we conceive ideas, notions, we put things into action, make things happen, we interact, engage, we know, we understand, we perceive. All those are miracles. All of those are amazing things that happen. So we all are masterpieces. And it takes every part of us for this masterpiece to operate the way it does. So it's giving appreciation to every aspect of who we are and how we are. Um, so yeah, this very much is an invitation. The invitation of flow is really this part of it is to lean into the spaces and to create the quiet and the space for the inspiration to come, for the acknowledgement to come, for the appreciation of what's there to come. And it's in those spaces that we are open to receive inspirations that may cause us to take actions that makes differences in areas that maybe we've been waiting for a while and not really knowing what to do with. So that's the
mm,
invitation for this piece.
mm.
Well, well, well. So it's been a pleasure.
Thank
And
you. Thank you for waiting for me. You could have switched off.
absolutely would not switch off for anything. You are as amazing as 20 other people that may have showed up here.
Yeah, but only that I had told you that I was coming,
That is
you
true.
would have thought, right, switch off. It's just, but you didn't. So
Yeah.
thank you. And I was inspired to tell you that I might be coming on. So that's all helpful, isn't it?
Well, you
I
see, it's
said,
all
oh
part of
well,
what we're talking about.
it is. It's
Yeah.
all unseen, but it's a sympathy, a simple the say that word for me.
The
And
simplicity of everything. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and thank you so much for putting so much into it, Frank, because I know even though maybe the people aren't on today, they appreciate your input so much. So you'll
You're
never
most
know.
welcome.
You'll
You're
never know the seeds you've sown and the people that you've inspired.
well, indeed, and also this goes in YouTube. People will be watching it maybe 20 years from now, and they'll be ready to hear what's here, and for them this will be inspiration and for them. So yes, I hear you on that, and yeah, we it's our place to trust, it's our place to respond, and leave the rest to that which is beyond our control. So
But you
thank you for
don't have
showing up
to do
today.
it. You don't have to do it, Frank. You do it because you care.
Yeah,
So
that
thank
is true.
you.
That is
Thank
true. Thank you very much, Muriel. Enjoy
you.
the rest of your wonderful day.